Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to come to you with the Friday Reads. I didn't get this Friday Reads done last week, so this will be another 2-week version. Been pretty busy here. We've had baseball going nonstop, and got districts starting tomorrow. So our season is starting to wind down. We hope to have another week's worth of baseball at least, if not more. That would be good. That's what we're kind of hoping for. But like I said, life's been busy. We earlier this week I was helping some friends. We were doing some roofing, and you talk about a hot time of the year to do some roofing. Holy moly! So I spent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday up on the roof, and then went to baseball afterwards. And I got to admit, I've been exhausted from all of that work. I'm just not young anymore, but that's okay. It was a lot of fun being up there with my friends, and then of course being at the baseball field. That's always good. We got our fill yesterday of baseball. We took our JV to another town, to a little over an hour away, and we played a doubleheader in the morning. And so left at 8 o'clock and didn't get back till in the afternoon, and probably didn't get home till it was after 3. And then I had to be back down to the ball field for a varsity doubleheader at 4 o'clock. So, and we didn't get back inside till 11 o'clock last night. And so it was a really long day of baseball, but that's okay. And when you love the sport, that you can deal with that. But got a night of practice tonight, and then we go to districts tomorrow. And we'd gotten the number 3 seed in our district, and so we hope to capitalize on some things and put some stuff together from this season. But anyway, that's kind of what's been going on in my life. The only other thing I've been doing is trying to find time to spend with my kids, and got a little kiddie pool for my 3-year-old. She's been enjoying that outside, and I will say that with the weather so hot, I haven't been mowing nearly as much, and that's been kind of nice. Actually afraid to mow right at the moment because I'm pretty sure it's going to burn up all the grass. But yeah. So reading wise, I can get going on this video a little bit more with reading, because I've been working on some stuff. Probably should be done with a couple of them, but as I said, things got a little hectic this week, and I was just plain exhausted, and so I didn't read a whole lot this week. But the previous week and just a little bit this week, I've been working on 3 books right at the moment. First book I've been working on is 108 Stitches by Ron Darling, and this is kind of a book where he goes back and just talks about a lot of his teammates that he played with, teammates or coaches and people he's been around in baseball. And this one, I think I got like 100 pages left. But this has been fun. He's been telling telling stories on a bunch of people, and what went on in his baseball career with them. And I had not read any of his stuff before. I guess he had another book that he did, Game 7, 1986. That was a good book. But I've enjoyed that. That's been a good read. That was a gift from a student, and I highly appreciate that, because that student knows I like baseball. So that was a good choice for them. So I ought to finish that up in the next day or so. Another book that I've been working on is Re-electing Lincoln, The Battle for the 1864 Presidency by John C. Waugh. And I've talked about this one. I am not real far into this one, but it's a good book. I was doing like a chapter every morning, and the chapters are only like 10 to 14 pages, somewhere in there. And so I'm like 72 pages in, so I'm not real far. I don't have anything to brag about on that. But it is a good book. It's interesting, just talking about right at the moment it's setting up, the end of 1863, getting ready to go into 1864, getting ready to go into that presidential year. And it's setting up some of the opposition, some of the things Lincoln was dealing with not just the war, but just the people around him. And that's been a good read so far. As I said, not very far into it, but I hope to maybe try to finish that one up this week. The next one is Life at the Court of Anna Anderson, a Romanov fantasy by Francis Welch. And I've been working on this one throughout this week and a half. It's a super fast read. Let's see, I'm on page 192, and it's like 350 pages, so I could finish that up in the next day or so also. It's a pretty easy read, pretty fast read, but it's just talking about Anna Anderson, who had taken up the identity of Anastasia, who was supposed to have been murdered with the Romanov family, and they didn't know for sure at the time, and so she took up that identity, even though Anastasia did die, and she was able to trick a lot of people into making them think that she was Anastasia, the royal, what do you call her, the princess. And so anyway, been very interesting. I didn't know a lot on this one. Now let's talk about what's coming up. This is my next read. My very next book that I'm going to be reading is The Caning, the assault that drove America to civil war by Stephen Puleo. And of course, this is all about the caning of Charles Sumner on the Senate floor. And this is 337 pages, so that won't take, I hope it doesn't take too long. It looks like it's good. I've been talking about this one. It goes right with my Civil War stuff. This is antebellum period, but deals with issues leading right into the Civil War, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to read the inside of the jacket cover to you so you can get an idea. So, a turning point in American history, the beating of U.S. Senator Charles Sumner in the beginning of the war over slavery. Early in the afternoon of May 22, 1856, ardent pro-slavery Congressman Preston Brooks of South Carolina strode into the United States chamber in Washington, D.C. and began beating the renowned anti-slavery Senator Charles Sumner with a gold-topped walking cane, and Brooks struck again and again until his cane splintered into pieces, and the helpless Massachusetts senator lay unconscious and covered in blood. It was a retaliatory attack. 48 hours earlier, Sumner had concluded a speech during which he vilified Southern slave owners for violence occurring in Kansas and famously charged Brooks' second cousin, South Carolina Senator Andrew Butler, as having a mistress who, ugly to others, is always lovely to him. I mean the harlot slavery. And so Brooks not only shattered his cane during the beating, but also destroyed any pretense of civility between the North and the South. One of the most shocking and provocative events in American history, the caning convinced each side that the gulf between them was unabridgable and that they could no longer discuss their vast differences of opinion regarding slavery on any reasonable level. The caning, the assault that drove America to civil war, tells the incredible story of the transformative event that had an enormous impact on the events that followed over the next 4 years. The meteoric rise of the Republican Party and Abraham Lincoln, the Dred Scott decision, the increasing militancy of abolitionists, notably John Brown's actions, and the secession of the southern states and the founding of the Confederacy. As a result of the caning, the country was pushed inexorably and unstoppably to war. And so this is always when I talk about this in class, the kids, they're like, whoa, the guy got beat in the middle of the Senate, and they always kind of really attach to that story, even though I don't really spend a lot of time on it, but it's just one of those little rabbit trails in history that catches their attention. So wanted to read up on that a little bit more. So that's the next one I'm going to start as I start finishing up. I got at least 2 of these books that I've been reading on that'll be done, and then I'll be able to continue starting some others. So this is one of them. And then this afternoon, my daughter wanted to go to a little icy stand. And so we went to the neighboring town to this little icy stand because she wanted to. And we stopped at the library. And of course, because I don't have enough books that I haven't read, since my TBR list is not big enough. I got to looking at their library and found 3 books to look at. Yes, guilty as charged. But anyway, because it's still baseball season, and one of my favorite old-time players is Lou Gehrig, I found a new book that's in on Lou Gehrig. So it's Lou Gehrig, The Lost Memoir. And this is put together by Alan D. Gaff. It's from Simon & Schuster out of New York, and this is a 2020 book. So this is a new one that's out, and it looked good. Again, if you're not familiar, Lou Gehrig was the first baseman for the New York Yankees during a long series of World Series teams. He's known as the Iron Horse. He put together a long streak of games. If you've heard of Lou Gehrig's disease, that's after him. So at the age of 24, Lou Gehrig decided to tell the remarkable story of his life and career. He was one of the most famous athletes in the country, and in the midst of a record-breaking season with Babe Ruth on the legendary 1927 World Series winning Yankees, in an effort to grow Lou's star, pioneering sports agent Christy Walsh arranged for Lou's tale of baseball greatness to syndicate in newspapers across the country. And until now, those columns were largely forgotten and lost to history. Lou comes alive in this inspiring memoir. It is a heartfelt tale about a poor, shy kid from New York who, against all odds, became the Iron Horse, one of the most revered ball players of all time. Years after his autobiography, Lou would tragically die from ALS, a neuromuscular disease known as Lou Gehrig's disease. His poignant account is followed by an insightful biographical essay by historian Alan D. Gaff. Here is Lou, Hall of Famer, All-Star, and MVP, back at bat. And so, you don't get any better a story than that when you're a baseball fan. And I've always liked Lou Gehrig. He was a pretty stand-up guy when it came to, he did things right with baseball. So anyway, let's another one that I saw on the shelves of new books that are out. This one is Washington's End: The Final Years and Forgotten Struggle by Jonathan Horn. And I had not heard about this one, and so I saw that, and I was like, oh, that's a smaller book. I could get that done fairly quickly. And as I said, I had nothing to read. So this one is The Astonishing True Story of George Washington's Last Years, the personalities, plotting, and private torment that unraveled America's first post-presidency. Washington's End begins where most biographies of George Washington leave off, with the first president exiting office after 8 years and entering what would become the most bewildering stage of his life. Embittered by partisan criticism and eager to return to his farm, Washington assumed a role for which there was no precedent, at a time when the kings across the ocean yielded their crowns only upon losing their heads. In a different sense, Washington would lose his head too. In this riveting read, best-selling author Jonathan Horn reveals that the quest to surrender power proved more difficult than Washington imagined and brought his life to an end he never expected. The statesman who had staked his legacy on withdrawing from public life would feud with his successors and find himself drawn back into military command. The patriarch who had dedicated his life to uniting this country would leave his name to a new capital city destined to become synonymous with political divisions. A vivid story, immaculately researched and powerfully told through the eyes of not only Washington but also his family members, friends, and foes. Washington's Ends fills a crucial gap in our nation's history and will forever change the way we view the name Washington. And so I thought that looked like a good read. It's only, it's pretty short. It was 225 pages. And so, that shouldn't take too long. Now, here's my next dilemma. I told you in July I wanted to read, one of my goals was to read a science fiction book. I had asked for requests or suggestions, I requested some suggestions from you guys in the comments section of a couple other people's videos. Actually, I didn't. I take it back. I asked the maker of the video, and then several of you gave me good suggestions. And so I actually had that list. I took it to the library. There was a whole bunch of them of suggestions you guys gave me to try out. The library had none of them. So I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I just went to the computer, to the card catalog, and looked up science fiction. And of course, everything started pulling up. And this was one of them that pulled up. It's a newer book. It was in the young adults section. It was Alien Echo. So this is the science fiction I'm going to give a try. It's pretty small. It's not going to be anything that really takes a lot of time, I hope, anyway. And this is Alien Echo. Olivia and her twin sister, Viola, have been dragged around the universe for as long as they can remember. Their parents, both xenobiologists, are always in high demand for their research into obscure alien biology. Just settled on a new colony world, they discover an alien threat unlike anything they've ever seen. And suddenly, the sisters' world is ripped apart. On the run from terrifying aliens, Olivia knows that her knowledge of xenobiology and determination to protect her sister are her only weapons as the colony collapses into chaos. But then a shocking family secret bursts open, one that's as horrifying to Olivia as the aliens surrounding them. The creatures infiltrate the rich wildlife on this untouched colony world and quickly start adapting. Olivia will have to adapt too if she's going to survive. And so I read that and I thought, well, I'll go ahead and try it. We'll see where we go with that. And it's a young adult, so it shouldn't bog me down any, I wouldn't think. So I'm going to give that a try for my science fiction. Now, we've got in our town here, we've got one of those little libraries where you could donate a book or you could take a book. I can't remember what the exact name of that is, but you guys, I hope, know what I'm talking about. They're usually little boxes. And so we've got one of those in downtown. And I stop there every few days just to see if there's anything new in there. And there was. This last time, I found paperback Game of Thrones by George Martin. And of course, I hear everybody talking about Game of Thrones, the TV series on HBO. And I've never ever seen it. Everybody's like, oh, it's so good. And then I also get into conversations with people who've read the whole series of books. And of course, I've never read them. And I think I'm going to try to change that. This might be one of those genres that I have never read. And I'm going to try to change that and see if I get a hankering for that. See if I like that at all. Another book that I found in the little free library, and I've seen this all over YouTube. I've seen this all over Instagram or Bookstagram, if you will. It's called The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. And I've heard nothing but good things about this book. And I started reading it. I'm a couple chapters in. I can't remember exactly where I'm at. Let's see. I am, a couple chapters in. I'm on chapter 3. And so I'm just over, 54 pages in, so I'm not real far in, but the story is good. She is a good storyteller, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this so far. And I'm guessing the plot will thicken with it, but and it's going to get even better. But I'm enjoying this, and this is another one I've been reading, and I'm going to get back to, and that might be my nightly read as I'm trying to get that one finished, and the other ones will be the morning read. But anyway, enjoying this. I'll let you know a little bit more of what I think on it later. And the last freebie that I added to the library, and this is while I was, added it to the Ruttenberg library, and I got this at the local library that I was at today, and it is called There Will Be Killing. It's a novel of war and murder by John L. Hart and Olivia Rupprecht. And I'd never heard of this. It just looked interesting. It says, this wasn't supposed to be Israel Moskowitz's war. What country in its right mind would draft a child psychiatrist fresh out of his residency from Columbia University Med School and send him to Vietnam in 1969? But Izzy was here for the duration. 364 and wake up. A year that would change everything. Assigned to the 99 KO, a psychiatric unit of the 8th Field Hospital in a sultry Nha Trang, Izzy attempts to use his skills in ways he never could have imagined, not to heal, but to get boys back onto the field of battle. A circle of compatriots soon grows around him. Greg, the surfer dude, turned psychologist. Rick, the tough as nails special ops commando. JD, a man of many guises and even more secrets. Margie, the gorgeous, relentless head psychiatric nurse. Kate, the stunning thrill seeker with a taste for the illicit. Nikki, the endearing, incongruously sweet Red Cross dolly. As their relationships weave and intertwine, the face of Vietnam evolves for Izzy. But nothing will turn his world upside down and redefine the nature of war to him like the mission on which he finds himself an unwilling participant. Someone is massacring soldiers in unthinkable ways with the goal of demoralizing via terror, and Izzy needs to be a part of the team tracking down the killer. And before he'd come to Vietnam, Izzy had never heard the term ghost soldier. Now one might dictate what remains of his life. Written with the verisimilitude only possible from someone who has been there. There Will Be Killing is an unforgettable work of fiction brimming with horror and humanity. And so I thought that sounded kind of interesting, and so I'm going to give that a try and see what that's like, and I'll let you guys know what I think, and we'll see if it stays in the library or in the Ruttenberg library or not. So anyway, that's my reading life for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, and into the next week, if not 2 weeks. And so sorry about not getting a video out. As I said, things have just been busy. There's literally been no time to shoot a video, hardly any time to read a video. Even the time I had, I was exhausted and didn't feel like reading. But anyway, I have been catching a few of your videos while doing dishes in the morning, so I'm enjoying those. I've seen Todd over at the Bursting Bookshelf's been doing a lot of pretty cool shelf tours. He's done some Roman history, Greek history. I was watching one this morning on Egyptian history, and so with his shelf tours, be sure to go check him out. Todd's Bursting Bookshelf. It's a really good. He's really good with history if you like nonfiction stuff, and he likes fiction. Detective novels and stuff like that. Anyway, he's got a good channel out there, so I just want to do a little shout out for him. I really like his stuff. It's real enjoyable. I've been watching other videos as well, but that's the one that's been really getting me going every morning while I'm doing dishes, and I just enjoy listening to him talk about books. So anyway, BookTube, thank you for watching. Sorry this has gotten a little bit long, but I hadn't talked to you for a while. So this has been my Friday Reads. I hope everybody is staying cool in this hot weather. So until next time, BookTube, thank you for watching, and have a great day.